Okay, so I remember the first time that I heard the term batch work. And then I heard stuff about content batching. And I remember at that point in my life, I think I only had one baby, maybe had just had my second. I don't know. I think maybe just one. Anyway, and I heard people talking about batch working, and they're working like for 4 hours or 6 hours or 8 hours on one thing and knocking out like, 5, 10, 15, 20 podcasts or a ton of blogs or like all of this client work. And I remember sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, like one, that would be amazing. But two, I don't have time to do that. Like I am working in the cracks of my day. I have maybe 2 hours max. I had maybe 2 hours max at that point. Usually it was more like 30-minute increments to get stuff done. And that approach to batch working was so overwhelming that I was like, I just cannot do that. And I tried here and there to do like little bits of it like that, but I couldn't do it. However, I have figured out a way to batch work effectively, and it's not overwhelming. And let me just tell you, it saves so much time in the long run, and it makes my work so much better. So be prepared to take notes on this. This is a note episode. Listen in as you learn how to batch work effectively to create better content for your online business, to create organic marketing material to help reach your people easier. Hey there, fellow entrepreneur. Welcome to Simple SEO and Marketing with me, Faith Hannon. Do you want to grow your business with organic marketing and finally feel like you can understand SEO? Are you scouring the internet for how to get more website traffic, SEO for dummies, and how to market on Pinterest? Have you tried to grow your business with SEO and blogging only to get frustrated and quit because it's overwhelming and too time consuming? Been there. Hey, I'm Faith Hannon, Jesus lover, copywriter, blogger, wife, wrangler of tiny humans, and barrel racer. And let me tell you, I didn't have time to waste sorting through SEO and keyword strategies that either didn't work or were so over my head I couldn't understand them. I honestly thought that SEO and blogging only worked for people with a PhD in tech jargon and a whole team of employees, until I learned these secrets. Good SEO strategies don't have to be complicated, and creating and marketing great content doesn't have to take more than a couple hours a week total. So pop in those earbuds, slam some coffee, and let's grow your business with simple organic marketing and a healthy dose of biblical encouragement along the way. What I want to do first is I want to break down batch working for you. So in my brain, there are two different types of batch working. There is batch working from start to finish, and then there's batch working lots of the same pieces of the puzzle. So let me talk first about the first kind of batching, which is the batching from start to finish. So in your business, content is king, right? Like we all know that content marketing is a huge part of marketing our business and generating organic traffic and creating trust with our clients. Like we know that, right? But in your business and your content creation, like batching from start to finish could look like getting an idea, creating the thing. Like if you're creating a reel, like getting the idea for a reel, filming the reel, writing the caption, uploading it, interacting, the whole process in one sitting. Okay. If I were to do this process for podcasting and then repurposing that podcast into a blog, the start to finish approach would look like this. I would come up with an idea. I would write the outline. I would do my keyword research, record the podcast, edit the podcast, upload the podcast, write the blog, come up with a title, create the graphics, publish the blog and the podcast, right? Which sometimes is how you have to work. I mean, honestly. But if what I just described to you sounds exhausting, I feel ya. That's not how I work. And if I had to work like that all the time, it would honestly cause burnout real fast. And there really are some things that you just have to do like that. I get it. But I want you to move away from this way of thinking, the thinking that you have to do the whole thing at once, or that you have to do like the whole thing, the whole project in sequential order, the whole content project in sequential order, because you don't. Okay? Hey friend, I know you're trying to grow this business, but if you're honest, does it sometimes feel like it's not going anywhere? Did you know that we can actually fix the back end of your business so that you have some great SEO? Did you know that we can repurpose your podcast or repurpose your blog and help you grow faster? Did you know that was even an option? If you're thinking, oh my goodness, Faith, that would be amazing, then head on over to faithhanna.com/coaching or click the link in the show notes. In just a 1-hour coaching call, we'll get you a marketing plan in a box with the exact keywords that you need to be going for, how and where to implement them, and at least 3 months of SEO-focused content all planned out for you. Now go ahead and book a zero-obligation 15-minute discovery call stat, and we'll sit down like two soon-to-be pals over coffee and chat about growing your business. Let's get your discovery call in the books now and get your marketing strategy headed in the right direction. Spots are limited, so don't wait. I, for one, cannot wait to help you finally get the breakthrough you've been waiting for and jumpstart your business dream back to life. Now I want to talk to you about the second type of batching and the type of batch working that I really want to hone in on, that I really want to help you with, and it's this. I want you to learn to batch a bunch of the same kind of pieces of the puzzle. So what I mean by that is maybe outlining all of your podcasts in one sitting, or maybe recording all of your podcasts in one sitting, and then uploading all of your podcasts in one sitting, or writing all of the blogs in one sitting, like all of the different pieces, right? And you take a whole bunch of them, like 4 or 5 of the completed thing, whether your thing is podcasts or blogs or social media or YouTube. You take a whole bunch of the completed thing and you break them down into smaller pieces, and then you take a whole bunch of like pieces and batch those pieces in the same sitting, right? So maybe right now what you need to do is you need to sit and think about, okay, when I create a blog or I create a podcast or I create a YouTube video, whatever your main form of long form content is, these are all of the major steps. I'm not talking the nitty gritty, like post this link here, create this exact graphic. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking like the major steps, right? Like I told you, mine are outlining, recording, uploading, creating the blog, publishing the blog. Like those are my major steps. And I want you to do that for yourself. Like seriously, if you have to like pause this and outline like your major steps for your long form content, do that. And then I want you to think about the flow of your content. And I want you to think about how to repurpose your content, y'all. Like if you are not repurposing your content, you are working absolutely way too hard. And I have a kick booty freebie for you on how I can take one piece of content, one content idea, and turn it into like 5, 10, 15, 20 pieces of content. You don't have to do that many pieces of content with one, but you could if you wanted to using this method, okay? That link is in the show notes. But once you have the flow of your content, like I'll just walk you through mine. I take my outline, I record a podcast, and then I repurpose that into a blog. Then I send that to my email list, and then I create pins and I post on Pinterest, and then I break that into social media posts, right? So there's like this flow of content. So once you have your flow of content, then I want you to plan your content creation and plan your batching, okay? So one thing that I really love to do is I love to plan all of my content at once, because my brain's already thinking about that. I'm already thinking about like the flow of what I want to teach and what I want to teach next and the order of what I want to teach. And then I like to outline all of my content at once. Usually I'll outline in about the same setting that I'm planning my content, just because the creative juices are already flowing. And so it's just easy to be like, oh, this point, this point, this point, this point. Okay. And then if you are just doing a blog, you could create the rough drafts of a blog in another setting. Usually by the time I outline, I'm like, I'm over it, or I'm out of time. So I don't usually outline and create rough drafts in the same, like sit my butt at the computer time. And if your main thing is social media posts, like then batch your social media posts, like plan out your social media posts, plan out what you're promoting, plan your call to action. You see what I mean? Like this works for any type of content creation. Then for me, after I batch my outline, I'll batch a podcast and I'll batch record several podcast episodes. Like, not all of them. I'm not quite that gangbuster yet, but I'll batch record my podcast, hopefully 2, 3, 4 at a time if I'm like really kicking butt and taking names. And then you can batch record or batch the blogs that are coordinating with those podcasts, right? And I know that these, like, when you see it, when you listen to me talk about it all at once, like, you're like, oh my gosh, that's so overwhelming, Faith. But really, it doesn't have to be. Like, just think of breaking your content creation up into like all of the individual parts, right? And then grouping them together. Like, if I cared about social media today, which I really don't right now, just because I don't have time for that right now in my life, which is fine, I could batch create all of my social media posts for that particular blog that I'm promoting in one setting. Or if you're just feeling gangbusters, you could batch create your entire month of social media posts. But the thing that I want you to really understand here is that when you batch create, you allow your brain to really get in the zone and in the flow, and it makes you more efficient in what you're doing. And I think personally, it helps you to create better content in the long run than if you are like having to reinvent the wheel and like go from start to finish every single week when you sit down to create content. But getting back on track. So you can also batch create your pins. If you're using Pinterest marketing, which, spoiler alert, you should be, you can batch create your pins and do a batch of uploading them to Tailwind. So you're not having to like post to Pinterest every day. You can just get on Tailwind, upload a bunch of pins, 2-3 weeks worth of pins all at once. Great. That's a batch of work. And you can also batch create emails. So for me, I really love to email my email buddies, my email list, like just something super encouraging, with their faith and motivation for pursuing the things that God has put on their heart, without like a pitch. I like to do that once a week. And for me, I literally sat down a couple months ago and just wrote out 2 months worth of emails, and I have them all in Google Drive. All I have to do is pop them into my email service provider when I sit down to send them out every week. If I was really gangbusters, I would have them all preloaded in my email service provider and be ready to go. But just try to think of like all the individual pieces, all of the types of content that you produce, and figure out a way to batch them. And don't quit if you hate it the first time. You need to give this a few goes, okay? Like, let your brain get used to it. Let yourself get used to it. Give it an honest to goodness shot before you're like, it's just not for me. Because I really think that when you learn to create content in batches, you're gonna like it. So I hope that helped y'all. Just some super practical tips on batching and creating content in batches. Let me know if y'all have any other questions about creating content workflows, because it's something that I would love to help you with, because I truly believe that you can be effective and efficient in your content creation for your business, for your website, for your blog. And it truly shouldn't take more than just a couple hours a week to repurpose a podcast into a blog and all of the other things. So hope that blessed y'all. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening in today. It means the world that you tuned in. Hopefully this episode inspired you, challenged you, and left you feeling like you really can do the thing that God has called you to do, even if you need it out first. If it did, can I ask you a couple favors? Would you please subscribe so you don't miss a thing? Share this episode with a friend that might benefit from it, and then just take 30 seconds and go leave a written review on Apple Podcasts. Not only will it bless my socks off to know that this is helping you, but it will help spread this message to more Jesus-loving entrepreneurs. Connect with me over on Instagram at Faith Hannon and find out about all the things, courses, coaching, and copywriting on my website, faithhannon.com. Until next time, God bless, and I'll talk to you soon.